I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into today's story. Meet Emily. Emily had never imagined her life would come to this. Standing in the middle of an upscale restaurant, she couldn't help but feel out of place. The low hum of conversations and the soft clink of silverware did nothing to ease her nerves. She adjusted her second-hand dress, the fabric slightly frayed at the edges, and tugged at her scuffed shoes. Her reflection in the glass of the restaurant door made her question how she even got here. A waitress, dressed in humble clothes, standing amidst people whose wealth and polished appearances seemed so foreign to her world. She had promised Jenny, her best friend, she would give this blind date a shot. It's just one dinner, she told herself. You're doing this for your family. You need to do this. Emily glanced at the table number on the reservation slip she had been given. Asterisk, asterisk. Table 7, asterisk, asterisk. Her heart raced as she walked through the room, her footsteps echoing in the otherwise quiet space. She scanned the tables, hoping she was looking at the right one. Finally, she spotted a man sitting alone. Dressed in a well-tailored suit, his dark hair neatly combed, and his eyes glued to his phone. He looked like someone who belonged in a different world. She walked over, took a deep breath, and tried to muster a smile. "Hi, you must be Kevin?" she said, forcing the words out. The man looked up, startled, blinking in confusion. Hi, Emma, right?" he responded, looking her up and down. For a brief moment, they both just stared at each other. Emily thought he might be shy, just like Jenny had said, and so she pushed on. "I know this is a little awkward," she laughed nervously, "but blind dates are always weird, right?" The man, Kevin, seemed to hesitate. He opened his mouth to correct her, but then stopped, his gaze softening. His fingers hovered over his phone, but then he put it down, deciding to let the moment unfold. "Right, blind dates. Something else," he said, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Emily exhaled in relief, thinking she had misread the situation. She sat down, feeling a little more at ease. The conversation started awkwardly at first, but soon it began to flow. "So, tell me about yourself," she asked, nervously fiddling with the edge of her napkin. "Well, I work in tech," Kevin replied, his voice warm but guarded. "Tech?" Emily asked, genuinely curious. "Yeah, you know, apps, coding, that kind of thing," he said, smiling faintly. Emily laughed, shaking her head. "I'm terrible with all that. I can barely get my phone to work half the time." Kevin chuckled softly, his eyes crinkling with amusement. As the conversation continued, Emily found herself talking about her job as a waitress, the struggles she faced to make ends meet, and her dreams of one day opening an art studio. She wasn't used to being this open, but something about Kevin made it easy to share. He was quiet, but he listened. That was something she didn't often find in the people she met. "You know, Jenny told me you were a little shy," she said, leaning forward. "But you're actually pretty easy to talk to." Kevin smiled at her words, but there was something in his expression that told her he wasn't completely comfortable. Before she could ask him more about his work, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and saw a text from Jenny. "Hey, where are you? I'm at table 7. Looking forward to meeting you, Kevin." Her stomach dropped as the reality of the situation hit her. She looked up at Kevin, her cheeks turning red with embarrassment. "Oh my God," she whispered, standing up quickly. "I'm so sorry. I sat at the wrong table." Kevin stood up too, his expression apologetic. "It's okay," he said, offering her a reassuring smile. But Emily, mortified, grabbed her coat and bolted for the door, her face burning with shame. As she hurried out of the restaurant, she couldn't help but feel like she had made a complete fool of herself. What kind of person mistook someone for a date? She'd promised Jenny she would be brave, but she hadn't been prepared for this. Kevin watched her leave, a strange mix of confusion and curiosity swirling in his chest. He had planned to correct her when she first sat down, but something about her genuine nature made him hesitate. He hadn't expected this, and for some reason, he found himself wondering if he would see her again. Emily rushed home, her heart heavy. She could still feel the embarrassment creeping up on her. She sat on the couch, burying her face in her hands. "Why did I even try?" she muttered to herself. But Jenny, ever the optimist, wouldn't let her off the hook. "It wasn't the end of the world," Jenny said, laughing. "And if he was as nice as you said, maybe he won't mind that you ran away like a crazy person. I don't think I'll ever see him again," Emily said, her voice small. "You never know," Jenny replied with a wink. "Maybe the universe will send him back. I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape." The next morning, Emily woke up with a heavy heart. The humiliation of the night before still lingered, and the thought of Kevin, the man she had mistaken for her blind date, kept popping into her mind. She knew she should forget about it after all. It was just one of those awkward moments people had now and then, but there was something about him, something that made her feel like she had missed an opportunity, even if it was the strangest start to a meeting ever. She shook her head, trying to get rid of the nagging feeling in her chest. She had other things to focus on. She had a life to rebuild. Her family needed her. Her mom was barely holding on after her medical bills piled up, and Emily was working long shifts just to make ends meet. Art was her dream, but her reality was waitressing. And bills, bills, bills. She sighed, running her fingers through her hair as she prepared for yet another long day. At work, the hours dragged by. Emily was tired, worn out from a lack of sleep and the emotional toll of the previous night. Every time she took a moment to breathe, her mind wandered back to Kevin. No, the man she had mistaken for Kevin. He had been so polite, so kind, and his smile, there was something about it. Was it just politeness, or was there more to him than the cold exterior he had presented at the restaurant? She couldn't help herself. As the clock ticked on, her curiosity got the best of her. Maybe it was silly, but she wanted to know more about him. Was he really just a tech guy? Or was there something more? Later that day, as she stood in the back of the diner, wiping down tables and feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She looked down, surprised to see an unfamiliar number flashing on the screen. Hesitantly, she answered. "Hello?" A deep voice came through the speaker. "Hi, Emily. It's Liam. We met last night. At the restaurant." Her heart skipped a beat. Liam, the man she had mistaken for Kevin. "Oh my God," she muttered under her breath. "I'm so sorry for running out on you like that." No, it's okay," Liam interrupted, his voice warm but amused. "I just wanted to make sure you were okay, and I was wondering if you'd like to grab a coffee sometime." Emily blinked in surprise. Was this a joke? Coffee? She echoed. "Yeah, I know this sounds strange, but you seemed like someone I'd like to get to know better. No strings attached, just a casual meetup." She hesitated. It felt so strange, yet at the same time, so tempting. She was exhausted, yes, but part of her wanted to take him up on the offer. Maybe this was just another weird twist of fate, but she had to admit, she was curious. "Okay," she finally said. "Coffee sounds nice." Liam gave a soft laugh. "Great. I'll text you the details." After hanging up, Emily felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Why had she said yes? She wasn't sure, but something about Liam's voice had made her feel like she had to. And there was a part of her that wanted to prove that she wasn't just some awkward waitress who couldn't handle a simple blind date. That night, Emily arrived at the cafe, her heart pounding in her chest. She spotted Liam right away. He was sitting at a small table near the back, dressed casually in a sweater and jeans. He looked completely different from the polished CEO she had imagined. He was just Liam. She hesitated for a moment before walking over to him. "Hey," she said, her voice soft. "Hi," he replied, smiling up at her. "I'm glad you could make it." Emily sat down, still unsure of what to say. They both just looked at each other for a moment. And then, Liam broke the silence. "So, tell me about you," he said, leaning forward slightly. "What's your story?" It was a simple question, but somehow it made Emily feel like she could trust him. So, she began to talk. She told him about her work at the diner, about her struggles to support her mom, and her dream of becoming an artist. She shared stories of her childhood, of the art she had loved since she was little, and how she had wanted to open a studio of her own one day. "I can't believe how much I'm telling you," she said, laughing nervously. Liam smiled, his eyes kind. "It's okay. I like listening. You seem really passionate about your art." Emily blushed, feeling a little self-conscious. "I just don't want to be stuck in this life forever, you know?" "I get that," Liam said, his voice serious. "But you'll get there. You just have to keep pushing." As the conversation continued, Emily felt a sense of ease she hadn't expected. Liam was kind, genuine, and he really seemed to care about what she was saying. She found herself opening up to him more than she had ever planned. And when they finally said goodbye, she felt a strange sense of loss. It wasn't like she had known him for long, but there was something about him that made her feel like maybe, just maybe, things could change. Maybe she could change. Walking home that night, Emily replayed the conversation in her head. The way Liam had listened, the way he had been so easy to talk to, and the way he had made her feel like she mattered. But at the same time, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was all too good to be true. What was he really after? And what did he want from her? "I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape." The next few days felt like a blur for Emily. The coffee date with Liam kept replaying in her mind over and over. She couldn't believe how comfortable she had felt talking to him. His calm demeanor and genuine interest in her life made her feel like she mattered. But there was still a part of her that couldn't shake off the feeling that it was all too good to be true. Why would someone like him, who seemed to have it all, be interested in someone like her? She pushed the thought aside, telling herself she was overthinking things. After all, it was just coffee. No big deal. But as the days passed, she found herself hoping for another chance to see him again. And when her phone buzzed one afternoon with a message from him, she couldn't help the smile that spread across her face. "Hey, Emily. It was great talking to you the other day. Would you like to join me for dinner tomorrow? I have something I want to talk to you about." Her heart skipped a beat. Dinner? He wanted to see her again? She hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say. What did he want to talk about? And why was he asking her again? She thought about the conversation they had shared, how easy it had been, and how she had felt like they were connected on some level. Maybe this was just another chance to get to know each other better. Or maybe there was more to it. With a deep breath, she typed out a response. "Sure, I'd love to join you." The following evening, Emily arrived at the upscale restaurant Liam had chosen. She felt out of place again, the same way she had the first time they met. The waitstaff were all in sharp uniforms. The ambiance was dim and elegant, and the soft music in the background only made her feel more self-conscious. As she walked in, she scanned the room for Liam, and when she spotted him at a table in the corner, a wave of relief washed over her. He was already there, looking effortlessly handsome in a suit, his dark hair styled perfectly, and his posture confident but relaxed. He stood up when he saw her, giving her a warm smile. "Hey, you made it," he said, his voice calm and welcoming. Emily couldn't help but feel a little nervous as she took a seat across from him. "Of course, I wouldn't miss it," she said, her smile a little unsure. "How was your day?" Liam asked, his eyes softening as he settled into his chair. Emily felt a little more at ease as they started talking. They discussed their day-to-day lives, shared funny stories, and talked about their dreams. Emily found herself opening up more than she had expected, and Liam seemed genuinely interested in everything she had to say. But as the dinner progressed, she couldn't ignore the fact that there was still a subtle tension in the air. Was it just her, or did Liam seem different tonight? There was something in the way he looked at her, something that made her heart race a little faster. As they finished their meal, Liam leaned forward, his expression becoming more serious. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you," he said, his voice lower now. Emily's stomach twisted. Was this the moment when everything changed? "What is it?" she asked. Her curiosity piqued, but mixed with a sense of apprehension. Liam took a deep breath before speaking. "I know this might sound strange, but I've been thinking a lot about you, and I want to help you." Emily blinked in confusion. "Help me? What do you mean?" "I know things are tough for you," he continued. "With your family, your work, your dreams. I can see how hard you're trying to make it all work. And I think I can help you. I can offer you a job at my company, help you get your art career off the ground, and provide the support you need to make everything work." Emily's eyes widened. This was completely unexpected. She had come to dinner thinking it was just another casual meetup, not knowing Liam was about to drop a bombshell on her. I don't know what to say," she stammered, her mind racing. "Why would you want to help me? You don't even know me." Liam's eyes softened as he reached across the table, placing his hand gently over hers. "I think you're worth helping. You have so much potential, and I can see how much you care about your family and your art. I don't want you to feel like you have to struggle alone." Emily was speechless. This was too much to take in all at once. She had barely known Liam for a few days, and here he was, offering her a chance to change her life. But was it too good to be true? Was this some kind of pity offer? Or did he truly believe in her? She pulled her hand back slightly, feeling a mix of gratitude and hesitation. "I don't know if I can accept that," she said softly, her voice shaking. "It feels like you're offering me something I don't deserve." Liam gave a small, understanding smile. "I'm not offering you something you don't deserve. I'm offering you an opportunity, Emily. One that I think you can take and run with. I see something in you." Emily's heart raced. Was this really happening? Could she really accept this offer? Or was she setting herself up for disappointment? She took a deep breath, looking into Liam's eyes. She had to make a decision, and quickly. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she had a real chance to change her life. But could she trust Liam? Could she trust herself? "I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape." Emily sat back in her chair, her mind racing. Liam's offer felt like a lifeline, but at the same time, it felt too big, too sudden. She had spent so much of her life struggling, fighting to make ends meet for her family. And now, here was a man, practically a stranger, offering her a chance at a new life. Could she really accept? Was she even worthy of such an opportunity? Her heart was torn. On one hand, the rational side of her told her to take it. It could change everything for her mom, for her dreams. But on the other hand, there was a nagging voice in her head, questioning Liam's motives. Was this really about helping her, or was it about something else? As the silence between them stretched, Liam seemed to sense her hesitation. He pulled his hand back, giving her some space, but his expression didn't change. "I know this is a lot," he said, his voice softer now. "And I'm not expecting you to make a decision right away. But I believe in you, Emily. I see something in you that's worth investing in." Emily's breath caught in her throat. She had never had someone speak to her like this before. No one had ever believed in her the way Liam seemed to. Her entire life, she had worked hard, but it had always felt like an uphill battle. No matter how much she struggled, There was always something that held her back. But now, Liam was offering her a chance to take control of her future. I don't know if I can accept this, she whispered, her voice shaking. It feels like too much, too fast. I'm not sure if I can trust you. I don't even know you. Liam leaned back slightly in his chair, his gaze steady and understanding. I get it. You've had to rely on yourself for so long. I'm not asking you to trust me blindly. I'm asking you to take a chance, to believe in what you can do with the right support. You don't have to do this alone, Emily. You don't have to carry the weight of everything on your shoulders anymore. Emily looked at him, her heart heavy with the weight of her decision. She thought about her mom's medical bills, the constant stress of trying to keep everything afloat, the hope she had always clung to that one day. Her art could give her a way out of this life. Could this be her chance? Could this be the moment that changed everything? Her eyes filled with tears as the truth hit her. She had spent so many years trying to do everything on her own, believing that she had to fight through every obstacle alone. But maybe she didn't have to. Maybe she didn't have to carry all the burdens by herself anymore. With a deep breath, Emily finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm scared, she admitted. I'm scared of what might happen if I take this step. I don't know if I'm strong enough to handle it. Liam reached across the table again, placing his hand gently on hers. You don't have to be strong all the time. It's okay to be scared, but you don't have to face this alone. You have me, Emily. Her heart skipped a beat. There was something so sincere in his words, in the way he looked at her, like he truly believed in her. She had never had anyone believe in her like this before. She was used to fighting for everything. But now, for the first time, someone was offering her a chance to let go of the fight and just accept. I'll do it, Emily said, her voice filled with determination. I'll take the chance. Liam smiled, his eyes lighting up with relief, and something else she couldn't quite place. You won't regret it, he said softly. Emily wasn't sure if she would or not, but something inside her told her this was the right decision. She didn't know exactly where this path would lead, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she was finally heading in the right direction. The next few days passed in a blur of meetings and paperwork. Liam had set everything up for her. An interview at his company, an opportunity to showcase her art, and the promise of a future where she could finally pursue her dreams. But as the days went by, Emily found herself questioning everything. Was she truly ready for this new life? Was she truly ready to step into a world so different from the one she had known? The pressure was overwhelming. But whenever she thought about quitting, she would remember Liam's words. You don't have to do this alone. That kept her going. And so, Emily took the first step. She showed up at Liam's office, ready to face this new chapter in her life. It wasn't easy, but nothing worth having ever was. The road ahead was uncertain, but she was no longer walking it alone. And for the first time in years, she felt like she was where she was meant to be. I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape. The following week, Emily was adjusting to her new reality. She had started her new role at Liam's company, and for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of purpose. The work was challenging, but it gave her the opportunity to finally use her skills and passions in a way she had never imagined. Liam had kept his promise, introducing her to the right people, and setting her up with a project that allowed her to showcase her artistic talents. But there was still something weighing on her mind, something that she couldn't shake off. Despite the progress, the growing connection between her and Liam, she couldn't help but feel a sense of uncertainty. Her world had been turned upside down, and while she was grateful for everything, there was a part of her that couldn't fully relax. She hadn't forgotten the way Liam had offered her help, how genuine he had seemed. But now, as she settled into her new job, she found herself wondering if she was truly ready to let her guard down. Was this all really happening, or was she just living in a dream? It was during one of those long, sleepless nights when she was reviewing some of her artwork at home, that her phone buzzed with a message. It was from Liam. "Hey, Emily. Are you free for dinner tomorrow? I think we need to talk." Emily's stomach twisted. She had been expecting something like this, but now that it was happening, she wasn't sure what to think. Was this just another conversation about her career, or was there something more? She thought about the way he had looked at her during their coffee date, how his eyes had softened when they talked. She couldn't help but feel a little nervous, a little excited, too. She hadn't been this unsure about anything in a long time. She typed back, "Sure, tomorrow works. Where do you want to go?" The next evening, Emily arrived at the restaurant Liam had suggested. It was a quiet, upscale place, just like the last time they met. But this time, it felt different. Emily felt like she was stepping into a world that wasn't quite hers. She still wore the same secondhand clothes, the same worn-out shoes. But now, it seemed even more out of place in the sleek, polished environment. Liam was already there when she arrived, sitting at a table by the window, his usual calm demeanor giving off an air of confidence. He stood up when he saw her, his eyes lighting up in a way that made her heart race. "I'm glad you came," he said, his voice warm and inviting. Emily smiled, feeling a bit of the tension melt away. As she sat down, she couldn't help but notice how different things felt this time. There was no awkwardness, no feeling of being out of place, just a strange sense of familiarity, as if they had been having dinner together for years. "How's everything going?" Liam asked, his eyes fixed on her as he sipped his wine. "It's going well," Emily replied, a bit more confident than she had been a few weeks ago. "I've been settling in, working on a few projects. It's a lot, but I'm happy." Liam smiled, but his eyes seemed to hold a deeper meaning. "I'm glad to hear that. You've been working hard, and I think you're starting to see the results. But there's something I need to talk to you about. Something important." Emily's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" she asked, suddenly feeling the weight of the moment. Liam set his glass down and leaned forward slightly, his expression serious. "I know things between us have been moving fast, and I know I've been offering you a lot of things, but I need you to understand something." Emily's stomach tightened. Was he about to pull away? Was he going to tell her it was all too much? Too fast? But before she could voice her thoughts, Liam continued, his voice steady but full of emotion. "I care about you, Emily. I've tried to keep my distance because I thought this was all just business, just a way to help you out. But the more I spend time with you, the more I realize that what I feel for you is more than that." Emily's breath caught in her throat. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? "I don't want you to think this is just about me helping you," Liam added, his voice almost a whisper. "I'm not doing this because I think you need me. I'm doing this because I want to be with you. I want to support you, not just in your career, but in your life. I'm falling for you, Emily." Emily sat there, stunned, her heart racing. The words she had been afraid to hear, the words she had been desperately hoping for, were right in front of her. She couldn't believe it. But at the same time, she realized that she had been falling for him, too. She had tried so hard to ignore it, to keep things professional. But deep down, she knew she had been feeling the same way. I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice trembling. Liam reached across the table and took her hand, his grip warm and reassuring. "You don't have to say anything right now. I just needed you to know how I feel." Emily's mind was racing, her emotions tangled. She had spent so long feeling like she was unworthy of someone like Liam, someone who had it all, someone who could offer her everything. But now, as she looked at him, as she felt the sincerity in his words, she realized something. Maybe, just maybe, she was worthy of this love. Maybe she could have it all too. As the night went on, Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of peace settling over her. There were still so many uncertainties, so many things she didn't know about what the future held. But for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was finally where she was meant to be. And with Liam by her side, maybe, just maybe, she could have the family, the love, and the life she had always dreamed of. I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape. The days after Liam confessed his feelings to Emily were a whirlwind. They spent more time together, working closely on her art projects and discussing her future at the company. Emily couldn't deny that she was falling for him, too. There was something about the way he made her feel seen, valued, and understood. It wasn't just about the job or the opportunities he had given her. It was about the connection they had, the warmth in his eyes when he looked at her. But as they grew closer, Emily found herself wrestling with a new set of fears. She had never allowed herself to believe in love this deeply, especially after everything she had been through. She wasn't sure she was ready for the intensity of the emotions she was feeling, and she struggled with the thought that maybe she didn't deserve it. Maybe Liam was too perfect, too good to be true. Maybe she was just the lucky one in his world. She tried to push these thoughts aside, but they lingered in the back of her mind. Then, one evening, as they were finishing dinner at his apartment, Liam turned to her, his expression serious. "Emily, there's something we need to talk about," he said, his voice lower than usual. Emily's heart skipped a beat. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice tight with concern. Liam took a deep breath, his eyes softening as he met her gaze. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything we've shared so far, and I want you to know that I'm not just offering you a career or a chance at a new life," he said. "I'm offering you my heart. I'm offering you everything I have." Emily felt a lump form in her throat. She hadn't expected him to say that, at least not so soon. She had been waiting for this moment, but now that it was here, she wasn't sure how to react. "Liam," she started, her voice wavering. He placed a finger gently against her lips. "I don't expect you to say anything right now. I just want you to know how I feel, that I'm here for you, not just as a business partner, but as someone who loves you." Emily's heart raced as his words settled in. She could feel the truth in them, the sincerity in his touch, but she couldn't shake the doubts that had been building inside her. Was she ready to open her heart to him? Could she really let herself love him the way he loved her? As if reading her mind, Liam continued, "I know it's a lot, and I'm not rushing you, but I need you to understand that I'm in this with you, Emily. All the way. Whatever it takes." She closed her eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. She had always been so guarded, afraid of opening herself up to someone else. But Liam was different. He was patient, kind, and willing to fight for her. And maybe, just maybe, it was time for her to stop fighting her own feelings. She looked up at him, her eyes meeting his. "I don't know if I'm ready for everything you're offering, Liam," she said softly, "but I'm willing to try. I'm willing to see where this goes." Liam smiled, a soft, relieved smile that made her heart flutter. "That's all I need, Emily. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm just asking for you to take a chance on us." The next few weeks were a blur of changes. Emily was fully immersed in her new role, taking on more responsibility and gaining confidence in her work. Liam continued to be a supportive presence in her life, guiding her and encouraging her every step of the way. But as they spent more time together, Emily started to realize something important. She wasn't just falling in love with Liam's success or his kindness. She was falling in love with him, the man who had shown her a new way of living, a new way of loving. One afternoon, as they walked through a park together, Emily stopped and looked at Liam, her heart full. "I didn't realize how much I needed this," she said, her voice soft but filled with emotion. Liam turned to her, his brow furrowing in curiosity. "Needed what?" "This. You. This life. I've spent so much of my life thinking I wasn't worth anything, that I had to fight for everything on my own. But with you, it feels like I'm finally where I'm supposed to be." Liam reached out and gently cupped her face in his hands, his eyes searching hers. "You're worth everything, Emily. I hope you know that." Her breath caught in her throat as she stared into his eyes. In that moment, everything else faded away. It was just the two of them, standing in the middle of the park, and she knew, without a doubt, that this was the beginning of something beautiful. As they walked home that day, hand in hand, Emily couldn't help but feel like the luckiest woman alive. She had started this journey unsure of herself, unsure of what the future held. But now, she was beginning to see the light. She wasn't alone anymore. And for the first time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, she deserved all the love and happiness that was coming her way. I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape. The weeks that followed felt like a dream for Emily. Every day brought new challenges, new responsibilities, and new experiences. She was finally able to use her art in ways she had never imagined. Liam's support had opened doors she had once thought were closed forever. She was part of meetings. She was working on projects that made her feel alive. And, for the first time, she saw a future where she could thrive. But even as her career began to flourish, doubts continued to creep in. She had always been the one to fight for everything on her own, and now, with Liam's help, it felt like everything was happening too easily. There was a constant fear in the back of her mind. Was she truly deserving of this? Or was it all too good to be true? Liam noticed the way she seemed to pull back at times, the way she would retreat into herself when things got too overwhelming. He could see the inner conflict in her eyes, and it broke his heart a little each time she withdrew. He wanted to be there for her, to help her work through these fears, but he didn't want to push her. So, he gave her space, and in the meantime, he continued to show her, through his actions, that he was in this for the long haul. One afternoon, as Emily was working late in her studio, trying to get a project finished, Liam came in, holding 2 cups of coffee. "I thought you might need this," he said, setting 1 cup down on the table in front of her. Emily looked up from her work, smiling softly. "You're right. I've been going non-stop today." She reached for the coffee, grateful for the small gesture. "Thank you." Liam sat down beside her, his eyes thoughtful. "You know, you don't have to do this all by yourself," he said, his voice gentle. "I'm here to help, if you need it. I'm here for you, Emily." Emily's smile faded slightly as she looked down at her hands, twisting the handle of the coffee cup. "I know you're here for me, but sometimes I feel like I'm not worthy of it. I feel like I don't deserve all this. The opportunity, the career, the love you're offering me. I've always had to fight for everything. It's hard to let go of that." Liam reached out and gently lifted her chin, guiding her eyes to meet his. "You don't have to fight anymore, Emily. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, especially not to me. I see you. I see who you are, and I'm proud of everything you've accomplished. You deserve this. You deserve all of it. And I want to be here to see you succeed. Not because you need to, but because you want to." Emily's heart skipped a beat as she listened to him, the weight of his words sinking in. She had never truly believed anyone would say something like that to her. She had always felt like she had to work harder, do more, be better in order to be worthy of anything. But here was Liam, looking at her with such sincerity, such care. And for the first time in her life, she felt like she didn't have to do it all alone. I'm scared," Emily admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't know if I can let go of all my doubts and fears. I've always been the one to take care of everything. I don't know how to just accept help." Liam's thumb brushed gently over the back of her hand, his touch comforting. "It's okay to be scared. It's okay to not have everything figured out. But you don't have to carry all the weight on your own anymore. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. You can trust me, Emily." The words she had been afraid to hear, the words she had longed for, but never thought would come, were finally being spoken. Liam wasn't just offering her a job or a chance at success. He was offering her something more: a partnership, a future, a life together. And for the first time, Emily felt like she could truly believe in it. She took a deep breath and, for the first time in a long time, she let her guard down. She smiled up at Liam, her eyes full of gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. I think, I think I'm ready to let go of the fear. Liam's smile was soft, filled with understanding. That's all I need to hear, he said, his voice low and filled with warmth. As they sat together, enjoying the moment of calm, Emily realized that this was what she had always wanted to be seen, to be supported, to be loved without conditions. With Liam by her side, she didn't have to fight anymore. She didn't have to be afraid of what came next. For the first time, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. And as the days went by, Emily found herself embracing the life Liam had shown her. The job, the love, the support, it was all part of a new chapter, one that she never could have imagined on her own. But now, with Liam's hand in hers, she knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. And that was the greatest gift of all. I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape. As the weeks went by, Emily found herself adjusting to a life she had never imagined for herself. The self-doubt she had carried for so long slowly started to fade as she embraced her new reality. With Liam by her side, she no longer felt like she was fighting an uphill battle alone. The work at his company was fulfilling, challenging in all the right ways, and her art began to take on new dimensions. She had her own studio now, something she had dreamed about for years, but had never thought possible. Yet, even with all the success and opportunities, something lingered in the back of her mind. The fear of losing it all, the fear that it was all too good to be true, still haunted her. She had been through so much, and part of her was still holding back, unsure if she could truly trust that this happiness would last. It was one evening, as they were walking through a park together, that Liam noticed the change in her. They had been spending more time together, and their bond had grown stronger, but he could see that Emily was still holding on to something, an unspoken fear that kept her at arm's length. As they sat on a bench, the cool evening air brushing against their skin, he turned to her, his expression soft, but serious. Emily, I know you're happy. I can see it in your eyes, but I also see something else. You're still holding back, and it's like you're afraid of something, Liam said, his voice low and comforting. Emily looked at him, surprised by how perceptive he was. She had tried so hard to keep her fears hidden, not wanting to burden him with her insecurities. But now, in the quiet of the park, with the city lights twinkling in the distance, she couldn't hide from it anymore. I don't want to lose this, Liam, she whispered, her voice trembling. I don't want to lose what we have. I've worked so hard for everything I've achieved, and it feels like it could all slip away in an instant. Liam reached out, taking her hand in his touch warm and steady. You don't have to be afraid of losing me, Emily. I'm not going anywhere, he said gently. I know you've been through a lot, and I don't expect you to just let go of your fears overnight. But I'm here for you, every step of the way. You don't have to do this alone anymore. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she looked at him. His words were like a balm for the wounds she had carried for so long. She had spent so much of her life feeling like she had to do everything on her own, that she had to be strong for everyone around her. But now, Liam was offering her something she had never allowed herself to accept, a chance to be vulnerable, to trust, and to truly let herself be loved. I'm scared, Emily admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I'm strong enough to let go of all these fears. What if I mess everything up? Liam gently cupped her face, his thumb brushing away the tear that had slipped down her cheek. You don't have to be perfect, Emily. You just have to be yourself. I love you for who you are, not for who you think you should be. His words were simple, but they meant everything to her. For the first time, Emily felt like she didn't have to hide the parts of herself she had always kept locked away. She had spent so many years protecting herself, building walls around her heart to keep from getting hurt. But now, with Liam, she realized it was okay to let those walls come down. I love you too, Emily whispered, her voice filled with emotion. I'm just scared of what it all means. Liam smiled, his eyes soft with affection. What it means is that we're in this together, Emily. No matter what happens, we're a team, and I'm not going anywhere. The weight that had been pressing on Emily's chest seemed to lift in that moment. For the first time, she felt like she could breathe freely, like she didn't have to carry the burden of fear and doubt on her own anymore. Liam was right. She didn't have to be afraid. Together, they could face whatever the future held. As they stood up from the bench, Liam wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. "Let's take this one day at a time," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "We don't need to have everything figured out right now. The important thing is that we're here, and we're in this together." Emily nodded, resting her head on his shoulder as they walked through the park, the world around them fading into the background. She didn't have all the answers, but for the first time in her life, she felt like it didn't matter. She had Liam, and that was enough. Whatever came next, they would face it together. And as they continued down the path, Emily realized that for the first time in a long time, she wasn't afraid of the future. With Liam by her side, anything was possible. "I married him to save my family, but the cold CEO became the one I couldn't escape." As the months passed, Emily found herself growing more and more comfortable in her new life. The insecurities that had once held her back slowly started to fade, replaced by a sense of confidence she had never experienced before. Her art career was flourishing, and the opportunities she had once only dreamed of were now becoming a reality. But even more importantly, her relationship with Liam had deepened in ways she had never expected. The connection between them had grown stronger, and every day they spent together only solidified what they both knew. They were meant to be. As they sat together one evening, enjoying a quiet dinner at home, Liam looked at her with a warmth in his eyes that made her heart skip a beat. "You've come so far, Emily," he said, his voice filled with pride. "I'm so proud of you, not just for everything you've achieved, but for the person you've become." Emily smiled softly, her heart full. She had spent so many years feeling like she was never enough, like she had to fight for everything she wanted. But now, with Liam by her side, she realized that she didn't have to fight anymore. She didn't have to prove herself to anyone. She was enough, just as she was. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You gave me the courage to take a chance on myself." Liam reached across the table, taking her hand in his touch warm and steady. "I didn't give you courage, Emily. You always had it. You just needed someone to help you see it." The sincerity in his words made her heart swell. She had always been so afraid of letting someone in, of trusting them with her heart. But with Liam, it felt effortless. She had never felt more at home in someone's arms. "I think I'm ready for the next step," Emily said, her voice quiet but filled with certainty. "What do you mean?" Liam asked, his brow furrowing slightly in curiosity. Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing with excitement and nerves. "I think I'm ready to make this official. I want us to be a family." Liam's eyes softened, and a smile spread across his face. "You already are my family, Emily." Tears filled her eyes as she looked at him, overwhelmed by the love and support he had shown her. She had never thought she would find someone who truly understood her, who accepted her for who she was. But here he was, offering her everything she had ever dreamed of. The future suddenly seemed brighter than it ever had before. The next day, Liam took Emily to a beautiful art gallery opening, a celebration of her work that she had been preparing for months. As they walked through the exhibit, Emily felt a sense of accomplishment and pride. This was everything she had worked for, everything she had dreamed of, and yet, it wasn't the art that made her feel complete. It was the man by her side, the one who had believed in her from the beginning, the one who had stood by her through all the ups and downs. As they reached the final room of the gallery, Liam turned to her, his eyes filled with love. "There's one more thing I need to say," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Emily, I love you more than I've ever loved anyone, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." He dropped to one knee, holding out a small, velvet box. "Will you marry me?" Emily's heart stopped as she looked at him, her mind racing. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment that would change everything. She had never expected this, never imagined that she would find the kind of love she had always dreamed of. But here it was, right in front of her. Tears filled her eyes as she nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, yes, I will marry you. Liam stood up, pulling her into his arms as they both laughed through their tears. In that moment, Emily realized that everything had led to this. All the struggles, all the doubts, all the fear, it had all been worth it. Because now, she had found a love that was real, a love that would carry her through whatever life threw her way. And with Liam by her side, she knew that the future was full of endless possibilities. Together, they would face everything that came their way, and they would build a life filled with love, happiness, and the promise of forever. As they stood there, holding each other, Emily knew that this was just the beginning of their journey. And no matter what happened next, she was ready. Ready to love, ready to trust, and ready to build the family she had always dreamed of.